What is up, guys? JP here. You're probably noticing the fact that I'm not a little bit higher pitch, and I'm not Wheat, because Wheat is currently in San Francisco with his family doing Twitch things, and he's a little bit tied up over there, so decided he could not go. And we're gonna do it regardless, though. So we got two Jeffs here. It's gonna be a little bit confusing, but we'll figure it out. I don't even know how to intro you guys. We've got Greenspeak, of course, the normal member of the show. You know him, you love him.
Hi.
How's it going, Jeff Green?
I'm just fine, JP. Looks like you need a shave there, young man.
I know. I haven't shaved in I think it's been about a week now. And
That's a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like me. We're babyface like that.
I'm a little babyface too.
I think it's Sunday. I think it's since Sunday. So we're just kind of letting it ride right now. We're just
Is this a plan?
Yeah,
Could it be a beard?
It might be. I've never actually grown my beard out before, so I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that experience is, except for it itches real fucking bad right now.
Every male should go through it at least once. Gotta grow a beard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, even if it sucks, you just shave it off.
I think it's. I mean, there's no patches in it, so it should be good. It should be good. I'm not too worried about it. I'm not. I went in public the other day with it, so I'm out of that phase. I'm not like a recluse with a beard. I'm not afraid of it. I've embraced it publicly, I guess you could say.
Stubble on men has been a thing for a long time now.
Right. But I'm entering like homeless person stubble right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was a little bit worried, and I was like watching eye contact with others and making sure that they weren't like thinking I was like in Subway fishing for money or anything. I was actually there to get food. So
I think you got to go. I think it's another week that you'll look more homeless. I know how that feels. I know you feel like you look super scruffy. Yeah. All of a sudden, this has turned into like a men's fashion network.
That's fine. That's fine.
Grooming
with Wheat around,
tips.
we have to. We have to.
Right.
It's a funny divide though, because you could look homeless, or with like designer jeans, you look like an Italian model. Like that's the way that stubble goes.
Exactly.
And that's what I go for, Jeff. The Italian model look.
Yeah.
I wear a lot of designer jeans.
It's a good look. Yeah. That one.
You usually get mistaken for an Italian model, don't you?
Totally. Yeah. Well,
as do we all.
I was gonna say, how would you say John Paul in Italian? It'd just be like a Hispanic.
John Paul.
Yeah. It could also be like a Hispanic John Paul as well. Or no, that'd be Juan Pablo. Never mind. It would be totally different. Totally different.
Maybe the three white guys should just stay away from that.
Yeah, that's probably dangerous territory.
Yeah. Start discussing race. It's going to get good here.
Exactly.
At least it's Wheat's show. So
true.
He's the one who will get in trouble.
We can ruin it.
We can just ruin it.
And that Wheat is such a racist.
Wheat will come back
on
next
the show notes,
week.
it says something to talk about the black agenda, I guess. So, not sure what Wheat wants to do with this, but we could just discuss it, I guess, guys. That's fine.
We'll just leave it up
Sure.
to Wheat. We'll just leave it up to Wheat.
I'm for it.
You may have noticed that we've got another Jeff on the show, and that is, of course, Jeff and Control Robinson. We had, well, I saw him on the Co-Optional podcast talking about video games. I think that was 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Yeah, I think so.
And we had mentioned on, I think, the latest episode of Solemn, we were talking a little bit about the games that we've been playing, and I figured, well, we need a third. We can't go live with just me and Jeff, so why not come on? And he was totally into it. Now we're here.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. I've always played all the games, the big games. I'm not where my weakness is. If anyone was ever like, "Hey, we'd like you to be a gaming journalist," I'd be okay. But I've never played an independent game in my life, and I'm not really interested. So then they'd be like, "All right, get the hell out of here." Like I like all the big games. I like to play the big releases, and I get excited about them, just like every other human being. It's just that I end up falling into the StarCraft 2 sinkhole every time afterwards. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I funnel down into it.
So, what have you guys been playing? Let's start with Mr. Green. What have you been up to, man?
Well, the big one this week for me has been Wolfenstein, which is really, really good.
I was surprised
I
as well. You sounded
than
surprised.
I was expected to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I figured it would be okay. I always play the Wolfensteins and all those games just out of habit. and I like sort of learned to expect not mediocrity or whatever, but this one is actually really good. Like I actually think it's better than the critics, than its Metacritic at this point. I'm a little surprised. I felt like they lowballed it a little bit. Not that any of that shit actually matters anyway, because it doesn't. But I really do like it. I think the storytelling in this one is fantastic and surprising.
Yeah,
like surprisingly, not deep per se. I guess deep for a video game, but you know,
and the genre. Let's take that into account. It's an FPS. Whoever features the story in an FPS, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, Half-Life did, and a couple others. And also to tell the story, you know, in a good way and in a pretty mature way, given the subject matter, right? I mean, because it's grim shit, and it's also potentially like super offensive stuff, you know.
Right.
I mean, and I feel like they're really straddling a decent line there. Besides the fact that the gunplay just feels really right on in this game. There's some super fun weapons. The leveling up of the weapons feels great, you know, and when you get a new thing. The level design is great. I'm playing it on PC. I don't know if you guys are, but it looks fantastic on the PC. All
it does. Up. It looks really good.
I'm just really impressed. All in all, the level design. Like, it seems to me there's a few places I think I'm like halfway through now where it feels a little like disjointed at times. Like, all of a sudden you're like in a new place. Like, I don't know, the transitions are a little weird in this game.
Transitions are extremely weird. Like, sometimes they do a good point of like BJ Blazkowicz will run outside or something, and then they'll like fade into another scene with him running into another scene. Yeah. But sometimes they'll just like finish something, and then it's like, all right, and you're underwater. It's like,
right.
What?
Right, or now you're in another country or whatever. Yeah, it almost feels like there must have been some point in the development process where they were like cobbling shit together or something, or they didn't make certain transitions they thought they were. I don't know. To me, it's not distracting from the game. This is just sort of nitpicky stuff, but it's a little disjointed. Like, it doesn't feel like one solid, smooth narrative. Like, it's almost episodic in a way, even though it's supposedly one long story.
That's very true.
But anyway, I think it's great, and there's been some amazing set pieces, like very early on, that super creepy scene you have in the train with the woman and the car, that whole thing. Like, it's gratuitous in a way, right? Because it doesn't have anything to do with the actual gameplay, right? But it's just really fucking creepy.
It is. It is.
Yeah, they do a lot of that where it's as the game goes on too, you'll find that, but it's like, I like that I like and dislike it. There's a few where it's like, I need these tools and these pieces, go find them, and you're like,
yeah,
you know, that's just, I understand like breaking up the monotony of just killing and shooting the entire time. I guess that's what they're going for, but
yeah,
I could do without it. But in that scene, to your point, that actually built like, that's introducing kind of a supervillain of sorts. It is creepy. It's well done. It's interesting, but also I like that it's not like, put the tray on the table and then it's like competing joysticks, so it's like hard to put the tray down, and you're like spilling coffee, and you're like, fuck, restart over. You know, like, I wouldn't be interested in that at all. But instead, what it was just like you're interacting in a cutscene essentially, and I was totally okay with that.
Yeah, I was okay with that too. And I just looked in chat. Somebody asked who the old guy is. I think they mean you, JP.
Yeah, I'm the host of the show, guys. I'll be here all week.
Was I going to say? Yeah, what you mentioned, Jeff, about the whole, like, there's that whole, once you're in the that like resistance area. I hope we're not spoiling much for anybody. The resistance area in London, and they have you like, there's different points where they have you like rummaging around for like whatever, like a piece of concrete.
And
or whatever.
that place kind of serves as a hub.
And let me play a video game.
I'm the supreme badass. You have me looking for a welder, like,
and that actually comes back. It comes back. That place serves as kind of like a hub throughout the game.
Right.
Did you guys go to the Nightmare, by the way? The Nightmare bed? Did you find that yet?
No.
Was that before that? Oh no. Wait. Yeah, I did.
So in the hub world, there's a bed, and like all of them say sleep on it, and then one of them says Nightmare, and you go into it, and it actually loads up like Wolfenstein 3D. And you there's a hidden level. I don't know what happens when you beat it because it's fucking difficult.
That's really cool.
I have seen like Wolf 3D like art around.
Yeah. There's a couple of those. There's like a laptop as well where it's got in like one of the Nazi compounds where the guy's actually playing Wolfenstein on his laptop.
Really?
Yeah, there's a little bit of some Easter eggs like that.
That's awesome. I want to say too that Jeff Green said something I thought was interesting. It's like I too have been so. We're not segueing out of this, but this is, I want to mention this, and then we'll talk about it later. But like, Watch Dogs, in my opinion, suffered from being. In my opinion, I was overly excited about it. I was buying the hype. I was like, "Holy shit, this is gonna be the best game ever made." Whereas this game, Wolfenstein, there was no hype because the label's been mishandled so many times before. I was like, another Wolfenstein. I didn't even check it out. The only reason I knew it was coming was because at PAX East, like their booth was big, and I was like, all right, let's go take a look. And they had a playable demo, and it was fantastic. And now owning it, like same thing as Jeff. Like I feel like a big part of my excitement and enjoyment of the game is because I had such low expectations for it.
Yep.
They just did a great job with this. This is what Wolfenstein was meant to be, and then not even the next gen, because that means PS4 and Xbox One. I mean, after fucking 1986 or whatever it was when the first
totally.
Like,
yeah.
Totally. Yeah, probably the best one, right? I mean, since Wolf 3D.
Yeah, totally. What did you guys think of like the stealth aspect in that game? Are you playing stealthy at all, or are you just run and gunning it?
A little bit, but it always ends up failing like all these games, and I just shoot everything.
Okay.
Stealth in that game for me equates to running up and stabbing the first 3 guys and then just shooting everybody.
Okay.
Right.
And because the stealth is really not, it's not an important part of the game. Like they try to make it like stealth's a big important part of the game, but the guys are so dumb about sound. Like you can poke your head around a corner and they're like 7 feet away and they'll be like, huh? And then they'll walk forward and then you can just stand up, go around the corner and stab them. And as long as he didn't go like, Erla! Like yell at all, he's dead. And then when the other guys find the bodies, they are not particularly alarmed by it either. Like I think if they walk up to it, they are. But if they see it, he's probably sleeping.
I think you're right. Yeah, it doesn't seem like they fully fleshed that out. I mean, like I was wasting time, like crawling up to the guys from behind, and then I realized I could basically run up behind.
Yeah, you just run around.
I guess the next question is, what difficulty are you two playing on? If you remember,
I'm on normal.
You're on normal.
I played not the hardest, but the one just below it.
Kill Me Plenty or something.
Yeah.
So I was playing on Uber, which is the hardest. The game's not difficult at all to begin with, and Uber's not all that hard. I mean, I guess I'm one of those guys now. Like, it's not that hard of a game.
It's not pretty easy.
Go play Dark Souls. That game's really not that hard.
I died that twice. Died 3 times, I think. But,
but yeah, like I actually did have to stealth through a lot with like the silencer on the pistol, and I had to. If there's commanders on the field, so one of the mechanics is when you pop into like a. I guess you'd call it like a battle room or something. There's a commander somewhere on the map, and eventually you get a perk if you stealth enough to actually show you where it is on your map. And most of the time there is kind of like alternate paths that are a little bit hidden, but you can make your way to the commanders, take them out, and if you don't take them out, they'll actually call in more reinforcements
send an alarm.
and make it a little bit more difficult. But that was kind of the only reason that I was stealthing through that. Was so that I could just take out the commander, then I would just go guns blazing.
It's funny too that I realized fairly recently while playing it now. I still haven't beaten it, but I guess towards the end. Is a lot of times you can actually just run through it too. Like if the fighting gets really bad a few times, I was just like, fuck it, I'm running for the door. You get to the door, open the next sequence.
Really?
Really?
Everything behind it's gone. It's all gone.
Oh wow.
I didn't know that. I thought a lot of the checkpoints were actually based on killing everyone in that room. So maybe it was
That's
only.
what I thought too.
It might have been only
both.
It might be. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's actually it can't just be every time it's the next sequence, like the door closes behind you. Yeah, they don't follow you. They're gone.
Huh. I was not aware of that. You mentioned the set pieces. I think they do a lot with where they go, especially like towards the latter half of the game. They kind of spoiled it in like the launch trailer at the very end of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to discuss it too much, but I thought that was really cool because it actually changes like the entire environment. If I don't want to say what it is, but you guys know what I'm saying if you've gotten to that point.
Yeah.
changing the gameplay a little bit with the even new guns, like how the laser guns come into play at that point.
And how they do that is quite enjoyable, by the way. That first sequence, again, story, you know. I like the way they tell the story, by the way. It's not just that they include you in, you know, like the train scene that we talked about, but also, like, it's been done before, so it's not like they're reinventing the wheel or anything like that. But I like the like, kind of the rotation to the next scene, and then it's them talking to kind of campy, funny music. Not funny, but, like, light-hearted music. And then the characters are a little bit bigger than life. Like, they're kind of silly, too, which I feel like they have to be for a game that's about killing Nazis. Like, if it was a super serious game, that's where it gets you closer to being offensive to, well, just offensive content and material. Like, then you're like, oh, yeah, I am killing Nazis. And German people are like, whoa.
It really felt like I was playing Inglourious Bastards, honestly. Like, I felt that was the approach they took.
Great call. Yeah, I felt that way too, and I think the music partially contributed to my feelings about that, because the music, like, goes, it's all over the place in terms of like style and genre.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's sort of like almost like modern rock, and then they go into like mournful strings and stuff like that. But the more modern music reminded me of something Tarantino would do.
Yeah.
And it feels good in the game too. Like, when it kicks in. It's an odd game in some ways. I mean, like, the tonal shifts are very weird. Like, sometimes it does go for, like, kind of goofy humor, and I agree with you, Jeff. Like, it kind of needs it. But it's sort of weird where all of a sudden BJ Blazkowicz is sort of like old school 80s action hero making, you know, sarcastic remarks, and then you've got these super poignant scenes about people dying from the Nazis. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Not bad, again, just a really odd mix.
I do like that they play with, like, the alternative history too, because there's a lot of the backstories within stuff that you find around the world. But did you guys find the I guess the note or whatever that talked about how they, like, the Beatles were now a Nazi, like the Nazis went and found the Beatles and, like, made them sing in German? And they actually have, like, a song in the game that is supposed to be like the Nazi Beatles.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right. I forget what they're called. They call the band.
So do I. Someone in the chat will probably know.
And this is actually the first game in a long time where I've read all the newspaper clippings and stuff on the wall, and, like, they're really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, normally I get bored with that stuff, but in this game it's, like, really cool flavor. It's like all of it. It's like finding out what happened in New York and all these other places. It's like, holy shit. Like, so all the little attention to detail. I've also heard that all the German in the game, I've heard from German folks, that it's really great, you know, and that adds a whole other dimension that probably a lot of us aren't even getting. Like, when the Nazis are talking amongst themselves, there's a lot where they're just, like, talking about their families and things like that to kind of humanize them and make them less, you know, just monsters.
Right.
So little details like that. Anyway.
In Control, what were you gonna?
Great game.
I was going to say, there's actually so much of that, like, Easter egg, you know, reading all the notes. I was surprised to hear Jeff Green read all that, because I read the first few, and I was like, man, this is super freaking detailed. This is, and it's like, it was like
it's
reading
there
a
if you
book
want
a little
it,
bit.
which is cool.
Yeah,
it's not in your face constantly, but it's there if you want it, which I think is the best direction to take in a game like that.
It's taking longer to play, to read it, but
it's
I feel
voluntary
like
and it's fun. I mean, there's never anything wrong with options, for God's sakes. If anyone complains about, like, oh, I didn't like that it allowed me to read I mean, nobody will, but that's totally fine. It just wasn't for me, because I read the first few, and it didn't pertain to the story, and it was super detailed and it was all over the place. Maybe it's about the first German landing on the moon. They talked about that. Like, it was really cool. The detail is insane.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, sometimes I opt in or out of that stuff. I mean, like, Skyrim's a perfect example. It was like 8 zillion lines of text. I mean, I never read any of that shit.
Yeah.
But I was always impressed.
Well, they have actual full books in there.
Write all that stuff.
Yeah.
Whole books.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote it. Some other human, you know, that was their job, to write all that stuff and put it in. They sat there every day at Bethesda cranking out that fiction.
Yeah.
They probably got paid well for it too.
Probably. I never read any of that shit. Any game
I never read any of it.
I'm trying to think of what other game has, like, in DayZ, actually, there's books. There's, like, actual real books. Like, I think To Kill a Mockingbird is in DayZ. You can read it.
No way.
Like, page to page.
Really?
Yeah, you can pick it up and read it page to page. It does absolutely nothing, but it's in there. which is kind of really obscure for a game like DayZ where you're constantly wanting to be moving. It's like, here's a book with like 500 pages in it. Read it if you'd like.
It's educational.
It's educational. There you go.
DayZ is edutainment.
Exactly. Awesome on so many levels. But yeah, I guess the last thing that I think Wolfenstein did real good, and then we'll go ahead and move on, is the fact that like they do a really good job at letting you know through different cutscenes and through different character introductions, like how evil someone is, and then like how anti-evil BJ Blazkowicz is, and just like I think he was a very charismatic and awesomely done character is the main character, and the things that they introduce him on the opposite of like all of these super fucking fucked up people that you fight that or that is introduced with what is it, Death's Head earlier on in the game. I think Jeff, you mentioned the really creepy scene with him,
his protege that you were speaking about, the train scene.
What is her name? Frau
Dude,
something or
she
other.
Gets I guess we're trying to avoid spoilers, which is a little bit hard when talking about the games, but she becomes pretty awesome.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job with vilifying all of those, and then keeping like Blazkowicz in kind of that hero mindset through both his action and his dialogue. I was really impressed with. I was not actually bored during the cutscenes. Like I was interested in what Blazkowicz was going to do and how he's going to react to each scene. So.
And there's sex.
It really feels to me like just the best shooter in a long time.
It is.
I can't. I'm not sure what.
And there's no multiplayer, which is the best part.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so thankful they didn't do that, because the single player experience would have suffered so bad. It would have been so much worse.
A lot of single players cheapen, or multiplayers cheapen, as you were saying, the overall experience. Like Resistance back in the day was a pretty.
Yeah, the first and
not,
second one.
Not on this level, so it almost doesn't bear mentioning, but it was a very good PS3 launch-ish game that I liked. And then I was like, I'll check out the multiplayer. And the multiplayer was just utter cheap. It was a watered-down version of the single player.
Yep.
Shit.
Yep. I think that happened with Killzone as well, for the Shadowfall. Like, the single player was all right, and then the multiplayer was all right. If they would have just focused on one of those, it would have been so much better. So much better. So.
Yeah, I've actually been complaining probably since either of you were born about the unnecessary multiplayer components of so many games that just didn't need it and don't need it. Yeah. And they do it basically because it's like a box. It's a bullet point on the box, or just to sort of extend the life of the game, which is fair enough. But when it like takes time away from the development of the single player, and then both kind of suck. It's like everybody loses. Like, why bother?
Yep.
I liked you're talking about BJ. He is. I do like that they avoid the like I'm the American quintessential hero. Like, in fact, he is American, but his name is very like East European or something like that, which I thought was kind of a nice little nod, if you will. And then this is just like a completely irrelevant aside, but I found it funny. A lot of the times he does say really good stuff, but I found that if you jump and miss something and just fall into obscurity and die, he'll say this is a stupid way to die. He'll like mumble it as you're falling off.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'm trying to think.
Stupid way to die.
There was one moment where I was up somewhere high and like I missed a jump and I just fell to my death, and you just hear him go, "This is a stupid way to die," and he's just like falling off of a bridge.
Yeah, those are nice touches. There was one moment where I don't know if you guys saw it, where he gets into a car that has no keys and no engine in it. It's like in the first third of the game. There's like a car in a garage.
Okay.
And if you there's an interact icon on it, which surprised me. Because it's just like a random car in the back of a room.
Right.
And if you click the, press square to interact thing, all this, it switches to you're behind the wheel, and he's just going brum, brum, like with his mouth. Brum, 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 like a little kid. And then it just goes like, okay, well, that's enough for that. And then he gets out. It's such a funny random touch. Like, okay, they spent some time doing that, and that was totally worth it.
Yeah, I never saw that. I never saw that.
Insane. For a minute or so.
I think it'll sell well enough that people are kind of gonna understand, at least in the development world, that you can actually make like an FPS without having a multiplayer. I hope that message gets sent through, and that it does sell like very, very well for Bethesda. Because otherwise, like, we're just gonna keep getting more Call of Duty shit, and it's gonna be so infuriating because we're never gonna have another FPS story-based game.
And tip of the hat to ID worked on this as well, right?
Yeah.
I think they have Doom 4 on the docket coming out, which
something like that. They have a multiplayer beta for it or some shit.
I don't think it's out. It's not out yet. But
yeah,
I think if you bought the game, you got access to the beta when it comes out.
It was a pre-order, which is kind of slimy, but I get it. They didn't promote it too much.
Though.
Yeah,
they all do that. They all work with GameStop, and they have some silly DLC that you get.
Yeah.
And then it's just so that they can go to their people and be like, "Look, you're guaranteed some money is coming in." You know.
Yeah.
The point is, I'm excited about that too because this didn't actually. I was kind of worried that it would have too much Doom vibe, but it really didn't at all. This is a very standalone, its own style. You guys say Inglourious Bastards, I can definitely see that. But even on that, it's like a fresh take on that as well. I'm excited about that, but hopefully, this is a nice precursor to a good Doom edition as well. Which Doom 3 was great.
If they do another Doom and there's like. I mean, you got to probably have multiplayer in that, but if it's just a good FPS, I'll be like super back on board the id hype train, which is something that I've been off for a very fucking long time, and I think a ton of people have.
Oh, I think most of us. I mean, and look, I mean, id is not the same id that it was anyway. I mean, I don't know who's left.
Yeah,
I think a few of the original guys, but you know, it's basically name only to some extent. But it would be great. I totally agree. It would be great to see another Doom. And, you know, there's been a few games this year and this past couple of years that have shown that, like, Tomb Raider and Wolfenstein, like, you can take an old
Tomb Raider was
really
IP
and still make something awesome.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I would love to see a Doom single player that was just, like, totally as fucking scary as the first one again, or the first two, you know? It's like a real headphones experience. Just actually terrifying, and not just jump scares. But I don't know. There was something about the first Doom. I don't even know if it could be replicated now. I don't want to sound all like old manish, but it would. But there was something about that. It was different then in a way. I think the more crude technology actually maybe made the game scarier, right?
In the hell storyscape, like it's actually scarier to see things kind of lurching in almost 8-bit-esque technology. You know, like.
Yeah,
that was for me. What was scary was that you could see the monsters, but then the fast moving ones that just kind of lurched forward. You're like, holy shit, an imp, you know. And it took you had to bust out your shotgun, and you only had 6 shells with it, but you knew this was worth the 2 of the 6 shells. That game was fantastic.
Was it what was the latest? Was it Doom 4? Was that the latest one? Am I making a name up?
I was saying Doom 3. That's my.
I think 3 was.
Oh no, it was Doom 3, and now Doom 4 is the one that they're making.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah, I will always remember in Doom 3. We'll get back on topic after, or at least what we've been playing after this. I always remember in Doom 3 the bathroom sequence very early on in the game when you walk in the bathroom and you like look at the camera, then it shows like I think your eyes start bleeding or something.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden like that the cyborg dog jumps out of the stall after that, and you have to fight him. That was like a scary fucking encounter. In the game, and that was like the only scary fucking encounter in that entire game. So yeah. Bring back Doom, make it good.
Do it good.
Jeff, in Control, what have you been playing?
To be
Besides
honest,
Wolfenstein.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of Wolfenstein. Really enjoying that. Did play some Watch Dogs. We did a tiny little launch event with djWHEAT. The night it came out, and then I've played a little bit since then. And you know, like I said, the precursor to this would be. I say this, but I'm not exactly entirely sure why. I think just literally the footage I saw of it, the concept, and you know, just standard E3 hype. When I first saw it, I was like, "This is going to be fucking incredible. This is going to be an amazing game," and it still is a very good game. So. I always have to like check this comment because we talked about it that night too, and it's like, look guys, this is a game you should buy. This is a great game. You'll have a lot of fun with this. I think you could end up playing it for 20 plus hours quite enjoyably. But for me, I found a lot of holes and stuff. Like, I thought the story was really silly, like epically silly. Which you know we just got done talking about Wolfenstein, and that wasn't something I said. So I have a high threshold I feel for silliness, but. The whole beginning of the game is it feels a little bit like M. Night Shyamalan took over Ubisoft and like 3 or 4 games ago was like, hey guys, look, I'm going to write a bunch of games. The story is going to be like something people are vaguely aware of, and we'll get to it like 17 hours into the game, and that'll be cool. They're all over that concept for me, and there's going to be people that vehemently disagree, but I couldn't see past that. And then Christian Bale voice acting as the Dark Knight doing
Aiden's just not a good main character. I'm sorry, he's just not. I do not enjoy him as a main character. Granted, the story of that game, like you said, is kind of a wash to begin with, but
yeah. So these are the things that distract me, and again, I think the reason why I'm nitpicking at this level and not just being like, hey, the gunplay is pretty good, the driving's not bad despite some people's complaints. I thought that was okay. The graphics are pretty gorgeous, although again, not what it was supposed to be. The reason I'm talking about those things is because I feel like my expectation for this game was really high.
Yeah.
I expected movie quality script. I expected, when they said, sandbox game, in this day and age, if you use that term, there's actually a pretty high expectation for that. I mean, Skyrim and GTA, these games, whoa, that's pretty sandboxy. And if you're going to fall short of that, then okay, but you're always going to be compared to those games, right? So I just found too many things that tugged me back into reality with it. And I've had this happen all summer long. Again, apparently I'm the digressor, but like Godzilla wasn't super amazing for me, and I got super excited about that. Anyways, I'm gonna cut myself short there, but it's just too bad. I will play the game. I'll try to beat it, but it looks like it might end up being like a 40 to 60 hour game, and it suffers from what a lot of the other Ubisoft games did, which is that it's a really cool game mechanic and concept, the hacking thing, but as you put in like 20 hours into it, you're like, this is so stupid. This is dumb. I'm going to jump between cameras, get to the guy with the code in his pocket. I'm going to take the code, then I'm going to do a little hacking mini game to get to the mainframe, and then with the mainframe, I'm going to listen to an audio file of another hacker that is also involved that I just found out is also my dad, but might be my son from the future. That's every Ubisoft game ever made.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
I agree. Jeff, are you doing any of the online stuff?
So I'm doing all of the online stuff. Jeff, are you doing any of the online stuff?
No, but I watched Wheat do it. That's pretty cool. People like that.
Man, I will, like, the rest of the game, I was not hyped to begin with. I think I was, and then it got delayed, and I lost all hype. And I think that actually made the game better for me, because like you said, I went in with low expectations. And to me, and I said this before it came out, like, it is Grand Theft Auto 5 with gimmicks, and it's not in the least negative way possible for me. It's like it's enjoyable. I love the little like hacking things. I think they're a lot of fun. They make me feel like I'm the fucking cleverest person in the world sometimes, which is awesome. But I know that like I'm just like every other fucking person that's holding down X to do something stupid in the game. To, I don't know, turn the light red or green in front of me so all the cars crash. But
I like the severity of the game, like when you, because I was an X masher as well, and then there's a few times where I'm like driving by something and I raise the things up and I just smash into it, and I like how the game it's very quick about how like you're fucked, and the car explodes and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So I like that, and yeah, I mean the good with the bad, right? So for me, like, the gameplay is a lot of fun. I really do enjoy it. And you have to give a nod. I do appreciate, like, a lot of games try to do what we just talked about with Wolfenstein, where it's like throw in a multiplayer for a check on the box, right? But what I think they did well is they have a whole bunch of different types of minigames that are fully, they're optional, but they also upgrade your main game experience. So it's incentivized enough that, like, I don't feel like I'm just collecting a token to have that Xbox achievement that nobody gives a shit about.
Yeah.
Like that was something they did in the other Assassin's Creeds, where it was like collect 100 Templar banners, and you would grab them if you saw them. But there's some guys out there that fell for the fucking trap. They looked for those things, and they got 100 of them.
Yeah.
And then they got 10 Xbox points or whatever it was, and it's like, that's just silly. That's just silly. So this game did a good job of making that meaningful, I felt.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you mentioned that you actually you're okay with the driving. I have not played it yet, and I have to admit, the last few days since it launched, I've been scared off by a lot of the comments I've been reading online about the game.
No, it's good.
God, I've never seen.
If you drive a good car and if you level up your driving, it's fine. If you drive a shitty minivan, it's impossible to stay on the road.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult.
I've heard the motorcycles are easier.
Motorcycles definitely have they have much better handling than all the other cars. Jeff, to speak to your point, like, I've never seen a game that's actually, like, I think it's sitting at like a mid 80s or something right now on Metacritic, to bring that up. But, like, if you go to a message board about it, it is like so many people just fucking hate this game. And it's like, why? Yeah. I think it has to do everything with, like, they got so hyped up to play Watch Dogs that
it's sort of their own fault in a way.
It's sort of their own fault, yeah.
It is. Yeah. That's the funny thing, too, because when we talk about the hype and the letdown, Ubisoft did not do, as far as I can tell, like a $5 billion huge campaign where, like, this summer, you know, like Watch Dogs. It wasn't like that at all. It was literally just the E3 reveal, and I think just the concept and the cool sexiness of the game. Like, they showed the trailer of him like in the rain in the dark city. He just flew up the helicopter and he hops over a hood and he's shooting cops, and you're like, that's what I look like when I do that. That's me. I'm that guy. You know, like, everyone got really excited about it, and then the anti-hype, which I think is something that people can learn about, they then announced like 2 delays or 1. That chops it at the knees. Everybody knew that. But then, just before launch, they're like, not 1080p.
Right.
On consoles,
and it's still gorgeous. It's a gorgeous game. But really because they announced this high of a standard, and then just before launch say, this high, everyone got disappointed. Immediately, that was the feeling going into it. So that's why the message boards are bitching and moaning. It's because they did their own anti-hype on top of not a big hype. But everyone got hyped. Yeah.
So stupid. Just better to just, like, shut up. Just be quiet. You know, let your game speak for itself. Like, if you do that, I mean, you really are just asking for it, you know?
Yeah.
And if you are going to talk, like, fucking be honest. Like this 1080p stuff. If you tell us this a week before, then you're getting what's coming.
See, and that's what seems stupid. Like, why would they do that the week before? Because it's already going to incite rage, and maybe that's what they want, is they want people to talk about the game constantly, and because that's what happened when it came out, and they were like 900p and 792p or whatever for the Xbox.
I think it's because they realize they're boned if they don't. I mean, they know that Digital Foundry and other places are going to be all over their ass. Well, so it's like, well, we better be on top of this news cycle.
They were buying time until the last minute to hopefully get the game up to that standard.
Right.
And then when they realized that they couldn't do it, they have to announce that it's not of that graphic, because they're on record as saying, you will get this game at 1080p.
Yeah.
So they're obligated to do that. But look at you can see between the lines at how bad this was. They waited till the last minute to give themselves enough time to try to get to that standard. They didn't get there. So now they look like even bigger asshats. But what you can even roll it back a little bit further and say, do not announce you're going to be 1080p if you can't deliver. You got delayed. This game was pushed back.
Yeah.
How do you get more time and still fail at that? And it's like, at this stage, these are millions of dollars we're talking about. Millions of dollars.
Right.
Jeff,
I mean, to some extent, you could say, like, it worked, like, the hype worked in that I know the sales are really good on it, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, part of me was just thinking, like, well, maybe they shouldn't have just done it at all, you know, just, like, been real quiet about this game and just come out, and our expectations wouldn't have been so amped. But on the other hand, you know, maybe they got what they wanted. Like, they still got an incredible amount of sales, even though people
it's going to sell a shit. It's already sold a shit ton.
And I was, after all I've said, I will still say, go out and buy this game. It's damn good.
Yeah.
You know, like, do not take I'm sure you guys agree. Don't take what I'm saying as like this is now a not buy game that you should not pick up. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
It's just in a strange position where it's not as fantastic as I feel like a lot of people expected, which is so weird.
Yep.
If anything, video games in this like right now, people are pessimistic about them. They're like, "Oh, that looks cool, but it'll probably suck."
Yeah,
this game, everyone was like, "This looks amazing."
It's got that mentality a lot across the board. But in Control, you played on the PS4, right?
Yeah.
So performance-wise, it was fine. For the most part, right?
But you know, I have a lot of friends that like the people at EG that do videos and camera work, and then when they watch a movie or something like that does something weird, they're either really excited about or really sad. I can't see those things, is the long-winded point I'm trying to make here. So when like TB is super bitching about the performance.
Well, the PC port is not that fantastic.
I played on the PC. That's what we did launch night.
Yeah,
I thought it was fine.
It's got some weird
hiccups.
hiccups.
Just my layman opinion. Yeah,
because I definitely noticed a lot of stuff that Total Biscuit was talking about in his WTF is, but the PC's not. It performs well, but it only performs well for me because I have like the top end system. I have a 780 Ti with like an overclocked i7 at 4.4 gigs, so it actually runs.
Well, I know what an i7 is.
Yeah, okay. It runs well for me, but at the same time, there's still like weird things. Like when I'm driving, it'll just randomly hiccup. And when I say hiccup, it feels like it's skipping a frame or two or something. Like it'll randomly jut forward a little bit. I don't know how to describe it the best that well.
Got
but
the i8 that's not even released yet. And it's military grade.
Yeah, it just feels weird. And it doesn't run all that well either, FPS wise. Like I can't run the game on all. Like I'm running everything ultra right now, but if I mess with any of the AA settings, any of the anti-aliasing settings, like it'll start to chug real bad, like down into like the 10 FPS chugs, and it won't even like rotate all that well, which is a little bit disappointing. But
I saw that was something that a lot of people were annoyed by was this, and this is more of a, I guess, general gaming critique as well, is that right now the spirit seems to be the producers, the devs. Well, the devs have a game and they say it'll be launched here. And then the studio says, actually, it'll be launched 6 months or a year before that. And then they're like, okay, I guess we'll do that. And then everyone agrees that they'll just patch it and you know, fix it on the fly once it's launched. That's pretty annoying so far.
Yeah. It's an interesting game, though. But, Green, do you have any... Have you played it at all, or are you waiting to play?
I've been waiting to play because I was going to get it on day one, and then I balked because of stuff I was reading, but you know, listening to you two and other friends of mine, I mean, I think I'm definitely still going to play it. I am debating on platform though.
I would say PS4 might be the best platform for it. At least right now. I don't
I need
know
more things to play on that anyway to sort of justify why I actually have one.
Yeah. You mentioned the online, or go ahead, In Control.
Well, I was just going to say, that's a really funny and good point, is that if you can buy a game for your PS4 right now, you're like...
It's probably awesome,
You almost feel obligated to do it. I did it because I looked up the optimization and saw that PS4 had it pretty good outside of computer, but then a lot of people complain about the computer build at first.
Yeah. Green, you mentioned the online stuff. For me, that is like... I'm only in Act 2. The way they break the single player up is in different acts. I think there's 5 acts and like a total of 50-ish missions. The first act is like... I think it's like 9 or 10, so maybe like an hour and a half of single player stuff. But the online for me in this game is, and I don't want to like be too hyperbolic about this, but it is one of the most fun online things I've done in a very, very, very long time.
It's so funny that you're selling it that hard. Like, it is cool.
I love it so much, man. It is so fantastic.
Jeff, you gotta guard yourself. It's pretty cool, but JP is...
I don't know why I enjoy it so much, but it's so much fun.
Nobody knows why you're enjoying it this much. Like, it is cool, but
people like come into my stream and they're just like, what is this guy? This guy's like giddy. Like I'm
oh
like,
my God, they're hacking me again.
I'm like laughing hysterically when I go into someone's game and I'm hacking them, and I'm like, the way it works, for those unaware, is that it is a hide and at least the one that I'm doing. There's 4 or 5 different modes. The one that I'm doing is a 1v1 hacking mode where you load into the game, you load into their game, and they have no idea that you've done so. You literally just seamlessly like load into their world, right? And it puts up a marker on where they're at in the world, and you can drive over to them, and you have to basically start hacking them, which is just hold down X on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and when you do that,
so that's it. There's no other.
There's no other like constant. You don't have to like constantly hold X, but when you do that, it pops up a radius around you on the map, and you cannot leave this circle or else it stops the hack. It starts at 0%. You got to get to 100 and you win. Every 25%, the circle grows smaller, so they have a better idea of where you're at. And while you're still playing Aiden on your character. Or on your screen, on their screen, you are a random NPC in their world, and you are not there's not like an icon over your head. You just look like a normal guy walking around in the world, right? And it becomes this hide and seek game of them trying to like profile everyone around you, which is basically, again, them just hitting X. They walk up and it'll be like not invader, not invader, not invader, et cetera, et cetera. And so it becomes like this awesome hide and seek game, or this awesome like cat and mouse game where you're constantly running around.
Inside of a purple circle.
Pretty fun.
Yeah, inside of a purple circle. And it can happen anywhere in the world. There's not like a set level for it. It happens anywhere. Yeah. You have 5 minutes when you get into their world to like decide where you want to start the hack for them.
Then when you find them, you shoot them, by the way. That's the end of the game.
Yeah, when they're looking for you, all they have to do is they either kill you, or the second that they profile you, then it says like it marks you on their game, and then you can run away, and if you get away, then you both get points. But if they kill you, then they get points and you get negative points.
Right.
But every time that I've done it, every time that I've jumped into it, it's been this like me hysterically laughing at how silly it is, because I'm sitting in a car 2 feet from the person who's just like spinning around in circles like, where are you? And I'm just like in a car. I hope he doesn't see me.
X.
And it's fantastic because like last night, one of the things that I did, again, I was 3 feet from this guy in a car. You can actually like stealth in cars, which is kind of weird. But at like 97%, I turn the car on and run the guy over, and then just like drive off, and it hits 100%, and it ends. And like for me, someone that happens to, it's so fucking frustrating. It gets more and more tense as you like as the percentage builds up, and it's actually like this super weird. I don't know. I've never experienced in a game like that before in such short bursts, because it's only 4 minutes, I think, to get 100%. But it makes like these super tense situations of you scrambling to either find them, or you sitting in a car like, I hope they don't find me. I hope they don't fucking see me right now, please. Oh God, he's walking so close. Okay, good. He just walked right next to me. He's going over that way. Hopefully he doesn't come back. Hopefully we're good. And I'm enjoying the shit out of it. I've put a bunch of highlights up on YouTube of my different encounters. All of them are hilarious. The different hacking stuff in the game makes for some pretty funny stuff. Like, I've lifted a bridge before with someone on it, and then like gone and hit around a corner, and then the only way that they could get down is if they lower the bridge. But then I just lift it back up as they lower it down. So they're like fucked up there. And I've done the opposite too, where I'm on the bridge.
This is like sanctioned trolling, basically.
It really is. Like, you can totally troll, because, for example, another one that I've done, I load into this guy's world, and I'm driving like a super sports car. And as I'm driving, I'm like driving in the lines because I want to look like an NPC. I don't want to look like the outlier. So I'm driving in the lines, and the player just straight up comes and rips me from my car and takes my fast car. So as soon as that happens, I hack him and run off and go like hide in a car that was already on the side of the road parked, so it looks normal. He drives back into the intersection, and I hack the light, so then all the cars like collide on him and knock him over. He starts going off chasing the other way, and then I get back in that same car because he's not going to check there, right? And then at the end, when you pull out your gun in this game, all the NPCs will start running around. So like he comes out from this alley and he draws his gun, and then a random NPC just like starts running across the center of the screen. He thinks that's me because it looks like the random outlier. He just unloads on this guy, and all the while I'm sitting in this car stealth, just laughing my ass off because this guy's like frantically running around. I don't know. I think it's so much fun, man.
Yeah,
and it's cool because it just
sells me on
it randomly just it happens in your game as long as you like. There's a toggle on the options that if you want to play online or not, and you'll randomly just get invaded, and this shit just happens to you.
And that's I really like. I like that this game is so full of options. Like, you don't have to do that if you don't enjoy it. It is fun. It is awesome. It's just JP has this strange like.
I don't know why.
This is some kind of new level of fun for you.
It's so much fun, man. I don't know what it is about that. Like, that is the entire reason I play Watch Dogs right now.
And there's other mini games too. There's one where you can load up like a Space Invaders alternate reality.
Yeah, they're digital trips is what they are.
Exactly.
Huh. Wait, so what is that?
There's like video game aliens that appear that you shoot with a video game gun that you have, but you're walking around the real world, and you gain points for that and stuff like that. And then there's actual drug trips that you can do. Basically, they don't call it drug trips, but that's what it is.
Yeah, there's one where you're literally jumping. It's like a jumping game on these crazy hallucinogenic mushrooms, which is like, what the fuck? Like, why is this in the game? There's one where you play as a giant spider tank, which you might have seen in a couple of the trailers. Which is actually a lot of fun. That one's pretty enjoyable. I had some fun with that. Is the other one like a scary game or something?
There might be.
Remember? I forgot what it was.
I didn't play all of them. We just checked that a couple.
Yeah.
The game also like it's obviously inspired by like Grand Theft Auto, where there is poker in the game. There's a few other like actual games you can play. I think you can play pool.
I think so.
Which is really cool.
I saw a screenshot of somebody playing chess. I think.
Yeah. Well, the chess in there is weird. It loads up a chessboard, then it's like survive for 5 moves and don't get checkmated. It's not like an actual straight up chess game.
That's too bad.
So it'll like load you onto a board. I remember the first one I did, and there's like 4 bishops there, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why are there 4 bishops?
Survive.
This is totally not real. What the hell? But there's a lot of like classic chess stuff where it's like survive mate, and you start on the back row, and you're fighting against. You're fighting. The other player has a queen, a rook, and a king. So you basically just have to like sit there and make sure you can get inside of the rook's attack range, et cetera, et cetera.
That's such a weird thing in games, especially these sandbox games. I don't know how much I'm just thinking in GTA 5. I mean, I guess I played tennis. I did yoga.
I didn't do the yoga.
Well, I'm from Berkeley.
Yeah.
I did a few other things, and I was doing it, but I was like, why? Why am I playing tennis inside?
I'm glad
GTA?
that's your reaction. If you were about to have a JP-esque reaction to like, I loved yoga in GTA. It was relaxing. It centered me. I thought it was so amazing.
Exactly.
Oh man.
You turn into like like Children of the Corn. I'd be like, this is for real.
Welcome to 8-Bits in control.
You'll never leave.
You'll never leave. But yeah, for some reason, who knows, the multiplayer for me is the best part of Watch Dogs. I could not give 2 fucks about the story.
And you're not getting tired of it at all?
Right? No, I thought it was going to be like a novelty type thing after the first night of playing, but I played again last night and I had just as much fun. So
do you get do you load up the game and start getting excited?
Oh, I'm excited right now to play multiplayer.
Really? That's amazing. Cool.
And I think it might be also as well as someone that streams constantly, like, to watch that stuff is also fun. And so I'm excited that like people watching me do this are having as much fun, or at least having fun watching me be like a fucking idiot laughing hysterically at what's going on with the screen.
It reminds me, without having seen it or played it, of Spy Party a little bit. Have you guys seen that?
That's actually exactly what it is. It is exactly like that for me.
Okay.
But on a much grander scale, because there's like 100 or so NPCs walking around. So it's definitely pretty cool. Like, I'm interested to see if anyone takes that idea and does something bigger with it. I don't know what you could do, but it is the only example of a stealth multiplayer type, a stealth like mini game in a multiplayer environment that I have enjoyed probably ever. Because I hate stealth as much as wheat, which is a lot, and I enjoy the shit out of this. So,
well, this feels different because it's like stealth against another human,
right? And so maybe that's probably why I enjoy it so much, because I am a gigantic troll, and that's pretty much what this comes down to: is like, how much can you fuck with the other player without being noticed?
That sounds about right.
Which is a lot of fun.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, I think you guys have sold me.
I'm the snake oil salesman.
Your final level of trolling, though, is that you do want to be noticed. If you haven't noticed that, you'll actually say and do whatever you can to get noticed.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's how you troll. That's the troll levels.
Yep. Yep. And I love hide and seek. That's exactly true, chat. I as a child, I was the hide and seek world champion, and now it's.
Are you? Was that like an actual title that you held?
Yeah, in my bedroom, I've got a framed little thing that all my friends got me. They're like, just let them have it, guys.
They tried to get it to you, but they couldn't find you, actually. So
Were you the guy that like everyone would just go home or back home to their parents, and you'd still be sitting in a bush somewhere?
Oh yeah,
like at 10 at night, guys.
That's me. You
gotta find me before we can go home, Mom and Dad. That's the way it works.
I'm also. This is the bragging point right here. I was ranked. I think I was top 130 in the world in the hacking game. which is pretty good, guys. It's pretty good. Now, since I didn't play for 2 days, I'm like 1,000, but whatever, I'll still take it.
But it does rank you.
Your parents say you never accomplish anything.
Yeah.
They should be so proud.
They should be proud. They should be. I'll inform them of the Watch Dogs champion that I am. I'll call them right after this.
I'm not a loser, Dad.
I told Dad I'd be something. I told you.
They were ashamed when I started growing this beard, but now they know I've been playing Watch Dogs. They understand it. Too much. I don't have enough time to shave. I gotta keep hacking people. I gotta hack the world.
Got a tough job, man.
I do.
Old X. Old X the world.
That's Watch Dogs. We're about almost to the break time, but Jeff Green, have you been playing anything else?
Well, let's see. Wolfenstein. Well, I'm still hopelessly addicted to Hearthstone, I admit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Dark Souls 2, of course. I'm still playing, and we'll be streaming this weekend if people want to know.
Nice.
But Hearthstone still has my soul. I'm sorry to say. I actually just I'm in an arena run right now, and I chose Priest, which I've never played. You know, even just in other modes, and I won the first game. So now I'm thinking, well, shit, maybe I got to try Priest more because
that's how they get you, Jeff.
I fucking hate the priests.
Yeah, that's how they get you.
Not as much as the mages, but the priests I hate too.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm really addicted to that game. I think it's just brilliant. I think you know, for me personally, it's an early contender in it. Well, it's going to be in my top 10, absolutely for sure for the year.
Yeah,
really,
and a lot higher, no doubt. Yeah.
Were you a Magic player beforehand, or is this your first experience with card games?
I knew how to play Magic. I played Magic. I played Magic online a bunch. At some point, I bought cards, but really not. I mean, a Magic person would say I am not a Magic person.
Okay.
You know, this is the first collectible card game that I really went all in on, and I've monetized quite a bit, like way more than I thought I was going to. I'm sorry to say.
How much are you up to now? Because last time we spoke, I think you said you were at like 50. If we doubled,
I said $50.
I think that's what you said. I don't exact. I know that you'd spent money in it, but I wasn't sure of.
It's probably, well, I tried to cut back a little.
Yeah, that's what it was. You were like, I'm done. Last
I was
episode,
not done.
And then you weren't done.
I was not done. I may be up to $70.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
That's not that bad.
Trying to rein it in. I have thought. I don't know. Are you playing at all, Jeff, or no?
No.
It's not your thing.
No. Yeah. That's what I find. I'm interested to hear you talk about it because it's like you're not alone in this. There's a sweeping.
Yeah.
There's an epidemic of people that are like, I don't know, this is the game I spend all my time on, and like it's probably because it's the best made game for like a tablet, which I understand because everyone has their tablets, and it's a great game. A lot of people like it. It's just I don't know why it's grabbing people so hard. It's like Magic's been around for 30 years or whatever.
Right.
Guys.
It's something totally. I know. I mean, I get it. Like it's just that somehow it's like they eliminated all of the tedium, all of this. I want to say bullshit because Magic is a great game. But like simply by taking out the lands, it like removed this whole element and just made it be about the attack and the defense.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something very, very accessible and seamless about it, and the ranked mode is what I find completely addicting. You know, just and also it's the user experience. It's the fact that they did things like the very limited way that you can communicate with other players. They just thought of everything through so well that there's almost no, I want to say there's no negative experience because I've gotten super pissed off at the game plenty of times or at other players. But like you can't actually communicate that to other players. Like it's
that
almost
was
like you're forced into being a good sport.
That's Blizzard actually with having WoW and then having StarCraft and realizing, God, people on the internet are fucking assholes. Let's not make them able to talk to each other.
Right. If
you don't like, there's no need to in that game. It would be kind of hard if they just took out communication in WoW and StarCraft, right? But in that game, they allow you to be like, good game, or I've heard people found new ways to troll.
That's what happens. Now the community has turned like the 6 options that you have, they have turned into actually having another meaning on the internet now. Is like, hey, this guy's a fucking asshole. He just said well met. Fuck him. Like,
right.
And then there's some guy who's just like, hey, let's say hi to this guy. I'm friendly. You're just like,
yeah,
fuck
some
you.
people just spam thank you all the time.
Yeah.
Still not as bad as it could be, though. Imagine if, like, they went ham on that, because there's someone out there who's like, this is really cool, but why not have it where, like, you can turn on and off your Christmas lights, and you have a little horn that you can hit, and, like, players want, to make sounds, and they'll interact, and they'll make music together. It'll be beautiful. But what ends up happening is the guy's just like, like it's just like a light show coming at you the whole time.
Sounds like an EDM
like,
song
like
with the air horns.
Jazzy fuck, and he's yelling at you, and you're like, and tablet people have no experience. Like, they would just be like, this young man is yelling obscenities at me on my. This is preposterous. I will contact Blizzard immediately. And then they'll find out that Blizzard's like, well, did you report him? And they'll be like, yeah, of course I did. And they'll be like, then the system will take care of it. He's like, great. Plays the next game. You're a dick face, poopy breath. I hate you. And he's like, this is preposterous. Like, it would drive people away. So it's good that they had the foresight to be like, exactly like JP said, no, people are douchebags. If we give them too much ability, they'll use it to hurt other people, actually.
Yeah. And they found a few ways to do it. I had a guy 2 days ago, he kept spamming the oops or that was a mistake to every card I played. So I would play a card and then he would do that. I mean, it was, in the end, it was awesome because I beat him. And that got to be my last taunt to him.
Sure.
But still, it was like, fuck you. Like, it was just making the whole 10 minutes just like, ugh. I mean, you can squelch people. You can turn it off. So that's another smart thing they did, right? Good. You don't even have to read that stuff.
Yeah.
That's so
they just handled the communication really well in that. And you could actually just play. I always find it interesting that the human interaction is really weird in that game. Some people don't talk at all. Right?
Yeah,
so
that's
it's really like you're just playing the AI.
Yep.
You get in there, you play, you're fucking with each other, and then somebody wins, and you're on to the next person, and it's like, whatever. And then other people just like, so get into it, I mean, when people are like too friendly, like greeting all the time, like,
shut up.
Play your fucking part. We're not friends. I don't want to know you.
Yeah.
I like it, though, because it sounds so mild that a part of me hopes and believes that there's trolls out there that come from the other communities where they used to really get people upset. And then they're like, you play your card, and they're like, and your character goes like, nice job. He's like, you'll hate me now. And you have no reaction because your ability to interact is very limited. Or maybe you'll be like, nice job to you. And he's like, you just nice jobbed my nice job? Nice job, nice. Just going back and forth. But it's so mild that I like to believe that it's giving ulcers to the true trolls who want to hurt you deeper, but can't.
I would think. Yeah, I had a guy, I think it was also yesterday, where he kept all... Wait, you know what? It was that guy. It was the...
the guy that
spammed him? It was the guy, the oops guy.
Oh.
And then when I was playing as a shaman, and there's a card called Bloodlust, which is a brutal card, because it gives all of your minions +3 damage. So if you've got a board full of minions and you play that card, your opponent is just fucked.
Right.
And like he was not taking me seriously because he thought he was way ahead, and he kept saying oops to my plays, and I was just sitting there biding my time, And then when I got the Bloodlust on, he would not. And I said, like, oops, back to him. He would not let me have the victory. He conceded as I was playing those final cards. He wouldn't let me do it.
Oh, he left or whatever.
He stayed, but he conceded. But okay. I have noticed that's another thing people are doing lately is they don't concede and they don't let you win. They just leave. They just leave. You just get a message saying opponent has left. So they won't even they won't even concede. They just close the app. Just fuck it.
Yeah.
Won't even
They'll change that because they're Blizzard right now is all about letting people feel good about the things that they accomplish. So if they just leave and you just get a message your opponent's left, that's got to be an oversight. They'll fix that.
Well, whatever. I mean, my feeling was like, dude, I still got the victory. And when you log back in, there's going to be a mess. The first thing you're going to see on your screen is you lost your last game because you disconnected. Like they don't let you off the hook. They remind you that you did that, which I know because I've done that.
In StarCraft 2, it used to be possible, and I know this because I have watched Avilo play StarCraft 2, where if you pause the game then leave, the other guy has a pause screen and has to go through the laborious task of unpausing the game before it'll truly end. But the reason I tell this story is because the depth of Blizzard protecting its people is such that they went back into the game and made it so that if you pause and then leave, the other guy doesn't have to hit a damn thing. It goes gray, it's a pause screen, but the wind comes up and it's fine.
I see. Yeah.
They actually went into the game to change it so that people couldn't pause and leave.
Of course.
That's smart.
That's smart.
Can you imagine being the guy, though, with the job, that his job is to sit there and be like, all right, people are douchebags. How do I think they'll take our game mechanics and try to hurt other people? And then when they do that for weeks on end, months, maybe years, and then eventually there's things that they overlook, like pausing and leaving a game, and they're like, son of a bitch. Some kid named Avilo is so douchebaggery that I didn't even see this coming.
You know who that person is with that job, though, right, Jeff?
Who?
It's Avilo. You have to be that type of person and think like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They do hire the yeah. And it's a smart thing to do, right? And that's what a lot of QA guys too, right? They just say like, please break our game.
Yeah, I know.
Do whatever you can to fuck this.
I know a person that works at Blizzard that 2 years ago made a shit ton of money because he was stealing from Chinese farmers by exploiting and hacking in WoW, and now he works at Blizzard because of that.
Right.
So, and that's what he does now. Is he is a part of their anti-hacking.
Let that be a lesson to you, kids. You want to get in the video game business.
There you go.
Fuck with the company's game so much until they have no choice but to hire you.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
I love that story starts with, he was hacking Chinese farmers.
Well, he was exploiting gold from the Chinese farmers and thus became like a gold tycoon on a server and then was selling the gold back to the same Chinese farmers, which is hilarious.
Is that still a thing? Are there still Chinese farmers? Or is that like part of our past?
So WildStar is launching tonight, which is another MMO. Right. And I guarantee you at 12:05, with the game launching at 12 o'clock, there will be messages in general chat, selling gold, please message so-and-so. It's like they don't even have gold yet, Jeff. It's 5 minutes into the actual launch of the game. There's going to be spammers. Like it's still a process.
Someone needs to make some kind of amazing documentary in that, because like Strife Crow, speaking of Hearthstone, who is one of the best players, some would say the best right now, but whatever, one of the best, formerly of EG. He, after leaving EG, the way he paid rent and made a living is on Diablo 3.
Yeah.
He would grind up gold back when they had the shop, and he would get uniques or whatever and sell them for 10, 20 bucks, 100 bucks if it was a super good one. But I guess in learning about that, he, like, in defense of that, he was like, oh yeah, people still do that in Diablo 2. Like, there's Soj farmers and people that are selling shit in a game that was out 10 years ago.
I had a friend back in high school that was one of the guys that figured out the dupe mechanic in Diablo 2 and bought he was 17 and he was able to get himself his own apartment because he sold SOJs in Diablo 2. He would sell 140 SOJ, or no, he would sell 40 SOJs for $120.
Those rings were +1 to all of your abilities, and then like plus 30% lightning or something.
Something like that, yeah. It was hilarious. I remember like, why are you getting your own place? He's like, I've got so much money, I don't know what to do. Because he's 17, and like, what the fuck else is he gonna do?
Oh my god!
So, damn.
It was pretty. That was a funny time.
The backstory. Well, duping is one thing. That was like an exploit. But for the rest of the people that actually farm this stuff out, you want to talk about monotony? Like, they put themselves through a chicken factory, basically.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They don't even know it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy that there are coal miners out there in the gaming world. Like, I play this in my boxers. I laugh. I get up and go get a drink, and then I come down and play more. There's other people out there that are like clocking in at 9 o'clock.
This is their job.
Yep. Shrugging over to the computer and 12 hours in, and then afterwards they're like, they have an alcoholic problem. They're like, I can't take this shit anymore. Yeah. When Diablo 3 comes out, that's when the value of uniques will go up. We're gonna be rich, guys, rich.
Do you think they're playing games in their spare time when they're clocking out?
Hell no.
Hell no. They hate video games. That's what sucks about something like that is you start to hate games. When you're playing them that much, you don't want to have anything to do with them. You don't want to have anything.
Have you guys ever had that experience?
I definitely have, yeah. Where it's like a week long of like, God, I just can't. I don't want to play this fucking game anymore. I'm gonna go watch a fucking movie for 20 hours or go watch a network or a TV show. Sorry.
So basically, you're just another screen.
Yeah, exactly.
You never thought about like going outside.
Jeff, I'm 24 years old. I've got very little left to live. I can't go outside.
Jesus.
Or wait, I'm 20. I don't even know how old I am. I think I'm 27 or 20.
Yeah, you said 24. That threw me for a loop. I was like, wait a second.
I don't know why I said 24. Maybe in my virtual world in my head, I'm 24.
There you go.
So
You're
actually
de-aging.
Yeah.
Me too.
Aren't we all?
There's actually a great Bruce Willis quote where he says, not that he's any sort of modern day philosopher or whatever, but
Bruce Willis, the famous philosopher.
Somebody asked him about getting older, and he said, the thing is, like, no matter how old you get, in your head, you still think you're 27. He was saying this as like a guy in his 50s or 60s. And being a guy now in his 50s, I totally know exactly what he means.
Yeah.
It's so true.
There we go.
You know, it's like when people say, who's the old guy in chat here, and even though I know they're talking about you, JP,
yeah.
I think, well, what if they were talking about me? But then I
they were talking about me?
Right, because they couldn't be. But it's not, because I'm just another 27-year-old. Weird thing about aging.
Not that you're asking for this, but on that subject, since you opened it up, I think it's interesting because I think on the totem of hard things to do on the internet in the gaming, you have it a couple. There's like 3 slots held for the different kinds of girls. I think they have it the hardest, but you're way up there. Like Sir Scoot's a good friend of mine, who's also an older gentleman, but has a fucking passion for gaming. He's been around it forever.
Yep.
He gets the pedophile. He gets like the most. They try to hurt your feelings with words, but like it's funny that.
Well, I mean, have you seen Scott before? I mean,
well, he does. He'll choke you. But
yeah, he will.
What's funny about that is we're all gonna get older, and we're all gonna still fucking love video games. So I don't understand any hate towards an older guy that plays video games. And in my opinion, that's actually the coolest thing you could possibly do.
Well, it's what I always say, and it's what like everybody, like you guys, everybody watching, like eventually you'll be my age. And like, it's not like, this is what I don't get. It's not like there's some switch that flips where you're like, now I'm too old for games. Like, I'm just the same guy that I was, and I loved games back then, so why would I stop? Like, there's no point at which you go like, that's for children. Yeah. I mean, and the other thing too,
golf sticks.
And I'm probably like I'm probably in the generation that was like the last of where there weren't games when we were video games when we were young, right? So there are definitely people my age who who were not gamers, right? But now, like, everybody grows up with them all the time. So like when you guys are 50, there's like going to be nobody left alive who, it's like even the generation before me. Those are the ones who are like, video games are the devil. But there's going to be no one left alive who wasn't just part of their normal experience. So it's not going to be weird to play video games when you're old because everyone will be playing them.
Oh my God, I just realized there's going to be, do you think they'll eventually advertise and create games towards the older generations? Instead of Wii Fit, there's like just Wii Stay Alive and like... You have to play a game that's like
it comes out for the 3DS. It's like walk 12 steps. You're like, okay.
Don't want those bed sores. It like inundates you with vertigo, and you're like, God, this game's really tough.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Or there's just a
question that like you definitely like opt out of certain things, right? I mean, like there's certain things I just don't do anymore because I sort of can't, and it's fine, Like I'm not gonna go sit in a multiplayer shooter anymore because it's just I'm not. Titanfall being the exception though. Like Titanfall made me feel like I can do it again.
Yeah.
It's still weird listening to a 12-year-old say the most heinous words on the planet. Like that. I actually didn't used to have my headset plugged in the TV, so I was over there playing Call of Duty, and Anna was on the couch, and I think she fell asleep, so she didn't get to hear this, but I wish she would have heard it. But it was just some kids some girls like, they're at B site, and he's like, oh, you're a girl? Do you want to have sex? And she's like, please leave me alone. He's like, I'll do you in the butt. It's like clearly a 12-year-old, like just a 10-year-old child. And I'm sitting there like, is this
happening?
real? Is this happening right now? But then somebody else goes like, yeah, like if you like them older, I'll do you in the butt. And I'm like, oh God, this is the weirdest thing ever. All right.
That happens. I've been playing a lot of CS:GO. That's like my Hearthstone. We'll jump to a break real quick after this. I know we're a little bit over. But in CS:GO, I'll play with Caitlin from Roleplay, and like the second that she talks in game, everyone on the team goes, "Is that a girl?"
Yeah.
And then I'll just go, no, that's my 12-year-old brother, and like, oh, okay. Anyways, like we keep just going on, like we try to hide the fact that it is a female playing the game because you'll just lose the team will lose focus and we'll lose the game all because it's a female playing the game.
So weird,
so awful.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm still laughing about who we still alive.
Someone should make that box.
Game idea.
Nintendo will do it.
Nintendo will do it, man.
Nintendo will do it. All right, well, let's take our first break here, or I guess our only break. When we'll come back, we'll finish up what we've been playing, and we'll jump into the news. So don't go away, guys. More 8-Bits coming up right after this. We'll see you guys then.